Travelling by train between big cities in the north of England could be made much quicker under proposals from the head of the HS2 rail project, which isn't even built, and they're already talking about HS3. Yes, the idea from Sir David Higgins. The coalition government's given its back into the plan, which would involve multi-billion-pound improvements to services from Liverpool via Manchester and Leeds to Hull. Now, let's discuss the plan with Paul Salveson, a visiting professor at the University of Huddersfield who specialises in transport policy, and Dr Richard Wellings from the free market think tank, the Institute of Economic Affairs. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello. Good evening.
Professor Salveson, I'll start with you. £7 billion is the amount of investment that's been suggested for this project. Do you think we'd see the benefit of that investment?
I would certainly hope so. £7 billion, it has to be said, is a figure that's been plucked out of the air. We don't even know what route is being suggested as yet, but let's take that as a figure. The North historically has suffered from the lack of investment in transport works. There's a huge discrepancy between the spend in London compared with the North East. £5 per person spent on capital spend in the North East compared with 2,596 in London. It's a hugely unequal society that we've got, and nowhere is that more evident in transport spending in the north compared with the south. So we need that £7 billion, not just on high-speed rail, but looking at the whole of the rail infrastructure, which is creaking at the seams.
Richard, now, you don't buy into this, do you, this idea that the country needs high-speed rail links? What would you spend the money on then in order to bridge this gap that Professor Salveson's talking about?
Well, there are clearly much better value schemes than HS3, this link from Liverpool to Manchester, Leeds and Hull. It's a hugely loss-making scheme, which means it's going to have to be subsidised by taxpayers, and there'll be major economic losses because of that, the wider economic costs of the massive tax bill. And also it's only going to carry around 1% of the traffic in the north of England, which is trivial. And the idea that this will somehow transform the economy is completely ridiculous. So if we're going to spend the money, spend it on smaller schemes that can deliver benefits more quickly and that offer much higher returns for the taxpayer.
Professor Salveson?
Well, I don't entirely buy that. I certainly agree with Richard in terms of investing in smaller schemes, and that's what we need now. And I think Barry Shearman, my local MP in Huddersfield, has been saying that this is all very well talking about HS3 and HS2. I don't actually support HS2, I have to say. I do support HS3. But we desperately need investment in new trains. The North is stuck with trains that were built 30 years ago. They were inadequate then. They're hopelessly inadequate now. So we need electrification. We need new trains. So we sort of build up a rail infrastructure which includes high-speed rail in the future, linking east to west, but we also look at the local and regional services now that need investment today, not in 20 years.
And lastly, Richard, what do you think we'll see in March when these proposals are finalised then?
Well, I don't think we'll see much changes. I mean, today's really been an announcement of what we've already heard before from George Osborne. But I mean, hopefully there'll be a change of mind, and we'll see some of these better value schemes that could deliver benefits more quickly, getting priority instead of this. And let's remember that northern cities are spread out. They're made up of lots of small towns, and a city centre to city centre link isn't going to deliver major time savings for a lot of travellers, say, going from Barnsley to Bolton or Rotherham to Rochdale. So, I mean, high-speed rail really isn't suitable for this kind of project.